It is officially the second week since the second season of My Hero Ultra Rumble launched, and with that, we have a new updated tier list to go over. So this tier list is different from all the previous tier lists I did. The previous tier lists were more of my opinions after testing the characters and figuring out where I thought they should be placed based on a PC perspective. However, I realized that was a little bit too short-sighted, and I wanted to include Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and every other console in the mix because different characters might play differently on different consoles. So what did I do? I reached out to the YouTube community, to the Discord community, and I put out a Google form where people could vote for where they thought characters belonged in the tier list. So what you guys are about to see is the results of those votes. Now, I will be doing this again in the future, so if you don't agree with where any of these characters are placed, then go down to the description of this video and fill out the Google form. It's just some quick multiple choice questions about which tier you think each character belongs in. So with all that said, the very first character we're going to be placing is Deku. So Deku, a lot of people said was still S tier, which is no surprise. And I'm not going to put these characters into order for tiers in this specific video like I did in the past. I might do that eventually, but right now I'm just going to be putting them where people said they belong, and then maybe eventually we'll go more in depth. So right now people think Deku is S tier. I had the second most votes was for A tier, and the third most votes was for B tier. Nobody voted for Deku to be below B tier in C or D tier. So Deku is definitely a very good unit. The next character we're going to be placing is Bakugo. Bakugo is another character that was overwhelmingly voted for S tier, so we're going to put him up here in S tier. And realistically, if I was to put them in order, Bakugo is above Deku, right? And so 75% of people said Bakugo is S tier, and then below that we actually had an even amount where 12.5% of people said he was in A tier and 12.5% of people said Bakugo was in B tier. So, but overall, we're going with majority rules. Bakugo does go into S tier. After that, we have Uraraka. Uraraka was overwhelmingly voted for A tier. She was actually not put into S tier, and I would personally, after playing her after the alpha was fixed, and her spin to win is ridiculous, put her into S tier personally. But the community has voted, and the community has said Uraraka is A tier. That was 62.5% of people that said she is A tier. 25% of people was the second most votes, and that was for S tier. And then 12.5% of people said that she belongs in C tier. There were actually no B tier votes. So once again, if you guys don't like where a character's placed, go down to the description, fill out the Google form, and in the next video, it will be updated with the updated votes. Okay? Next, we have All Might. All Might was voted to be in S tier as well. I don't know if I personally agree with that. I think All Might's strong, but is he as strong as Deku and Bakugo? I don't know. Maybe on console he feels that way. On PC, to me, he hasn't felt that way. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, but the percentages for that, it was 62.5% voted for S tier on All Might, 25% voted for A tier, and then 12.5% voted for B tier. So majority rules, All Might goes in S tier. Following All Might, we have Aizawa. Aizawa was voted to go. This is going to be our first character to go into this tier. He was voted to go into B tier, which I think is fair. Okay, he does have a high skill ceiling. He was very buggy at first, but now that his bugs have been fixed, I think it's fair for him to be in B tier. He does not need to be in C tier. He does not need to be in D tier. Back before he got fixed, definitely a D tier character, but now that he's been fixed, I think he is actually a very strong character. The other votes we had for Aizawa outside of B tier was a 50% vote for that. We had 37.5% of people voting for Aizawa to actually be in A tier, surprisingly, and then 12.5% of people said that Aizawa should actually be down a tier in C tier. But overall, people seem to think he's a B tier character in the middle of the A tier and C tier votes, which I kind of agree with. I think for that one, the community has gotten it right, and Aizawa is definitely a B tier character. Now, whether he plays the same on console versus PC, I can't tell you for sure, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let us know what consoles you play on. Let us know your opinions, and we'll work on this community tier list together. This is going to be a lot of fun. Mount Lady got a split vote. Okay, so this one I'm gonna make the decision here, and I'm gonna make some people mad. And if you want to change it, I'm gonna say it one more time. This will be my third and final time. In the description, go down to the Google form, fill it out, and we'll move her around on the next tier list next week. So Mount Lady had a split vote of 37.5% for both A tier and B tier. Okay, personally, I think because Aizawa exists in the game, it makes it harder to be a Mount Lady now. Because Endeavor exists in the game, it makes it harder to be a Mount Lady now. And because the game has just progressed the way it has, most people who play the game know how to counter Mount Lady now. So for that reason, I'm going to put her into B tier. I'll put her high B tier, above Aizawa. And once again, I'm not really putting these in order, but just for the sake of understanding, Mount Lady is better than Aizawa. Okay, so don't get upset about that, but there's definitely an argument for her to be in A tier. And if you don't like where she is, go vote. Okay, after that we have Cementos. Cementos had a 50% vote for B tier. This makes me a little bit sad because I really like Cementos. Cementos is a good character, certainly. I think he's better than Aizawa. You guys might disagree. You might think Aizawa's a little bit better. They're about on par probably now that Aizawa got his buffs, right? But Cementos has insane vertical mobility. I think he's just a ton of fun to play. He has the instant revive. I don't know. I feel like Cementos is A tier. Maybe you guys can change that with the votes coming up. Maybe you don't want to. Don't let me influence you. Choose for yourselves, but that is what the community has voted, that Cementos is B tier. Besides that, we had 25% of people vote for A tier, we had 12.5% of people vote for S tier, and then we had 12.5% of people vote for D tier. Cementos is apparently controversial, so yeah, I'm kind of happy at least he ended up in B tier and not D tier, because that would have been sad for him. So yeah, I guess people just got trolled one too many times and really don't like Cementos, so they probably put him in D tier. After that, we have Dobby. Dobby was overwhelmingly voted for to be put in. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people want him to be higher, but he was overwhelmingly voted to be put into B tier. Okay, that is a 62.5% vote for Dobby in B tier. 25% of people wanted him in A tier, and then 12.5% of people wanted him in C tier. So I agree, Dobby is definitely not the best character because he lacks mobility. At times when your alpha runs out, it feels like you're just standing there with your traps and your ring and you're waiting for your alpha to come back up to do damage. And for that reason, I would almost put Dobby down to C tier personally, just because I feel like he's not able to keep up with the other characters in the game as well. But I'll give you guys B tier. I think he is a solid character, and if you know how to run away and kite people, that's the key with Dobby, kiting people into your traps and stuff like that, then you can definitely have a B tier, potentially A tier character with Dobby. So I do think Dobby is decent, just kind of hard to play, even though he has such a simple kit. It's weird. Next we have Compress. Compress has barely made it into B tier, okay? I don't know. I feel like he's a little bit higher than B tier now, but I think that's because I think he ended up in B tier because we had a split. We had a split for second place. We had 25% of people say he should go in A tier, and then we had 25% of people say he should go in C tier. So if we just got a couple more votes, I feel like he's gonna go up or down. I don't know which way he's gonna go. I hope he goes up to A tier. I think he is an A tier character, but so far a lot of people seem to think that these characters are B tier characters, and I kind of agree with what they're saying so far. And then we did have 12.5% of people, a very small majority of people, say that Compress is D tier. I can tell you right now, he is absolutely not D tier. Those people they're on something, okay? It is anonymous. I don't know who voted for what, so keep that in mind. Your name won't be put out there. You won't be roasted for sharing your opinions on this. Okay, next we have Kirishima. Kirishima was voted to be in A tier with Uraraka, which I totally get. He does so much damage if you use him correctly. He has pretty good mobility nowadays, and 25% of people voted for him to be down in B tier, and then 12.5% of people voted for him to be in S tier. But overall, I'd say overwhelmingly in this one as well. If you look at, I'm looking at pie charts on my other screen, he has a 62.5% vote for A tier. So I do think he belongs in A tier. I think the community has mostly gotten this right so far, but I don't want to speak too soon. Let's get through all of them and then we'll see. Next, we have Endeavor, who has just launched as a character. This one might be more confusing for people when they're voting because they haven't played him a whole lot. We'll have to see. All right, so looking at my pie chart, we do have a split vote again. We have a split vote of 37.5% for S tier and 37.5% for A tier. Okay, so that means I'm going to make the decision here, and I'm going to put him in S tier. I think if you put All Might in S tier, you have to put Endeavor in S tier. They do similar things. Granted, All Might's a little bit better at close range, Endeavor's a little bit better at further range, but Endeavor has the same special action as All Might with the jump, and then he's also able to fly and maneuver around, and that flying and maneuvering around is actually really, really valuable and really good. So I feel like if All Might's in S tier, Endeavor has to be in S tier. I would say All Might is probably still technically above Endeavor, but I don't know. That one's debatable. Let me know which one you guys think is better out of the two in the comments. I'm not sure myself. On PC though, having played both these characters, I do think All Might is a little bit better. It feels a little bit cleaner to play overall kit-wise. Ibarra comes up next. Ibarra does have another split vote. Okay, this one though is between B and C tier. And I feel like if we're comparing Ibarra to all the other B tier characters, Mount Lady, Cementos, Aizawa, all three of these characters have movement. Dabi lacks movement, but he can kite. Compress has movement. Ibarra has no movement, but she does have an instant res, but she lacks, like, I don't know, defense of any sort. Cementos has defense. Aizawa has a bind to capture enemies and slow them down. Dabi's traps can slow enemies down. And Mount Lady has damage reduction with her giant form. What does Ibarra have? She can ignore shields, I guess, when she does damage to other people, but she has no movement and no defense of her own. And so for that reason, on this split vote between B and C tier, I am going to put Ibarra into C tier. If you guys want to change it, you know what to do. Following Ibarra, we have Momo. Momo was largely voted for to be in A tier alongside Kirishima. 62.5% of people wanted her there. 25% of people wanted her down in B tier, and then a very small percentage of people, 12.5%, said Momo was S tier. I think that, once again, I think Momo is one of those characters that comes down to what console you're playing on. Are you playing on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Switch? And that definitely affects how good that character feels. That's my opinion though. Let me know what you guys think. Kaminari is next, and this was the only 100% vote I had in the entire thing. So if you guys want to keep this the same, vote for this tier for Kaminari. But Kaminari, everybody said B tier. Every single person said B tier. That's crazy that everybody agreed Kaminari is B tier. So there you go. Kaminari B tier. Iida is the next character that a lot of people have debated on back and forth. Is he A tier? Is he B tier? Is he S tier? I think a lot of people find him annoying. I personally don't think he is deserving of what the community has said, but that's my opinion. That's after, once again, I play on PC. On console, he's probably much more annoying, harder to hit because you are using analog sticks and not a mouse and keyboard. And so people have put him into S tier, probably mainly because he's just hard to track down and annoying, and I totally get that. So that was a 50% vote for S tier, and then 37.5% for A tier, so it was kind of close on that one. And then a very small percentage, like a tiny percentage, said, oh, Iida should go in B tier. Those people are crazy. He's definitely an A tier or S tier character. The big debate is, which one is he? After that, we have Kendo. Kendo was overwhelmingly placed into C tier. I don't get it. She got buffs. She has some of the best move speed in the game, like base move speed, and she's a shotgun player. You're just running around shotgunning people now. Your shield is really, really good. People don't know what to do against your shield. I think she's at least B tier. That's my opinion, but people seem to think that she is C tier. I would personally put Kendo above Ibarra, but that's what people want. That's what people get. Kendo is apparently C tier. So if you don't like that, once again, you know what to do. Shigaraki was placed into a B tier by the majority of people. 50% of people said Shigaraki belongs in B tier. 37.5%, so it's pretty close, said he should go up to A tier. If you think Shigaraki should go up to A tier, then once again, you know what to do. I know I've been saying this all video, but I want to get more community participation as much as possible. I love this community, so I want to know what your guys' input is. And I'm sure that the rest of the community would love to come together and put together a tier list and see what we come up with as well. Besides that, we have 3 characters left. 3 very, I would say meta characters for people. So let's see where people placed these characters. Starting with Todoroki. 75% of people said Todoroki is S tier. That was even higher than the percentages for Bakugo and Deku. So what does that mean? I think that means Todoroki is the reigning king right now for S tier because he is freaking annoying with his ice, right? It's incredibly annoying that you can get like frozen 2 or 3 times and you're just dead and you can't do anything and you don't know what happened and you're like, whoa, what just happened? So yeah, 75% of people said Todoroki, S tier. 12.5% of people said he was in A tier, and then another 12.5% said he was in B tier. 2 characters left, starting with Toga. Toga is going to go in A tier. That surprises me a little bit because I do think now that she got her buff, her beta specifically buffed, I think I personally think she's kind of S tier, but A tier is fine. A tier is a good spot for her. I think that's a fair spot for her. So 50% of people said Toga belongs in A tier. 25% of people said she belongs in B tier, actually going down, which was the second most amount. And then a very small percentage of people said she belongs in S tier, 12.5%. And then an equal amount of people that said she was an equal amount to the amount of people that said she was in S tier, sorry, my words, said she should be in C tier. So 12.5% for C tier, 12.5% for A tier, and she ended up, or S tier, and she ended up in A tier at 50% for that vote. So there you go. That's where Toga's getting placed. And last but not least, we have Tsuyu. So we had a tie, kind of. 25% of people said Tsuyu belongs in B tier. 25% of people said Tsuyu belongs in S tier. So that means there's still 50% missing. So that means you guys can probably guess that other 50% was for A tier. So people think Tsuyu is now an A tier character. I think that's fair because if you're going to have Uraraka here in A tier, Tsuyu is definitely A tier because she's not better than Uraraka right now, I would argue. And I find it crazy that Iida's up above them even. I don't know. This feels, the tier list feels all right, but it feels weird to me. I don't know, there's a few things I would have changed. I let you guys know as we went through the video what I would have changed. And just for reference, I did also put a question in the poll that said, which system do people play on? 37.5% of people play on PlayStation, 37.5% of people play on Xbox, and then 25% of people said they played on Switch. I also had a section for PC and other, and nobody has put in a PC vote or an other vote. So keep that in mind. If you are a PC player and you agree with any of these, I'm going to say it one more time. I said I wouldn't, but I am. Go fill out the Google form in the description and we can redo this tier list in a week and update it and see what the community thinks about all these characters. That is it for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video and you're enjoying the channel, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and supporting me. Peace.
Maybach music. Can anybody out there